how damaging to a task can be context shifting. Like you say, it seems trivial, but I've noticed a huge effect.
Well, it significantly reduces both your capacity, right? So if we look at just the quality of what you're producing is lower because you're not attacking this with a full focus cognitive capacity, and then it raises fatigue. And a lot of office workers know this; they just don't know why it's happening. But it's that effect where you get to 2:00 in the afternoon, and you're just done with trying to do anything that's even remotely hard. And we often misassign that, like maybe I'm tired or maybe I'm not, but you're not probably that tired. You've just been sitting in a chair all day. Your brain is exhausted. Why is your brain exhausted? Because it is incredibly draining to do these switches. We're just not evolved for it. We did not grow up in an environment. We did not evolve in an environment in which every 6 minutes we were jumping back and forth between a different highly salient task. We were doing one thing for a while, and then something else we would do for a while. We're hunting today. Hey, for the next 3 hours, we're walking through the woods in the context of looking at trails and listening for the animal. We're doing that for a very long time. So our brain really can't handle it. So you're producing more stuff, and then you just run out of cognitive steam much earlier. It's why people, by the way, who have to do sort of Olympic level feats of cognition, so the incredible elite cognition, where I say Olympic level in the sense of you're pushing your brain to the limits of what the humans can do, literary novelists, chess players, mathematicians, they are incredibly careful about insulating their giant swaths of time from the rest of the world, from distraction, from phones, from social media, etc., because they can't work at the elite level. Just like if you took an elite level athlete and said, you're gonna be a little dehydrated, you're gonna smoke a little bit, something like this. At the elite level, you're gonna drop from gold medal to out of the medal contention. So we really see this effect taken seriously by elite thinkers. Elite thinkers aren't on social media all the time. Elite thinkers, like I'm thinking the novelist Dave Eggers, he writes on a laptop with no internet connection, unreachable from 9 to 5. He can't do his novels if he was in a state of context shifting. But I think this same commitment that elite thinkers have needs to trickle down to the rest of us, because we're leaving a huge amount of productivity and satisfaction on the table.
Definitely. I also think the idea of procrastination is like possibly, for me especially, like just that quick glance, I used to think that was in my head, that's procrastination, it's taking me away from my work. But that not feeling like you're getting anything done for the day, I feel like comes from switching those tasks. Like it really does. Is procrastination something you've done anything on in the past?
And procrastination is an interesting one. There's different aspects to it, and I don't know all of them, but there's two aspects I'd like to point out. So there's just a pure energy aspect. So the reason why very little good gets done in the office from 2 to 5, for example, is that you've exhausted your brain from the context shift. So your brain is just crying uncle at that point. I can't sit down and do this hard thing. I'm out of fuel. So there's an energy piece to it. Another twist on procrastination that I've been looking into off and on, and I think is interesting to keep in mind, is if we're talking about a big project, you're just not getting going on it. And a lot of this came out of, by the way, my work I used to do with students. Sometimes what's going on here is that your mind doesn't trust your plan. So I just want to throw that angle in there as well. One of the defining features of the human brain, one of the reasons that we can separate from other animals, is that the human brain can both conceive of plans, right? So abstractly conceive of a plan and then evaluate that plan. Is it good or bad? And if it's good, you feel motivation to do it. And if it's bad, you feel dismotivation, right? So this is very important. Again, if we go back to the Paleolithic, the emergence of the modern Homo sapiens, you might be thinking through like, well, maybe what I should do is charge this mammoth and whatever, jump on it and stab it through the eye to kill it. Well, the plan evaluation apparatus is like, no, that's a bad plan. You're not going to feel motivated for that. And then you have another idea like, well, maybe we should throw spears from far away, and you feel motivation to do it. Some procrastination is basically your brain rejecting your plan. And so I first saw this with students where they'd feel procrastination to study. And it's because it's just an incredibly vague thing. Their mind's like, I don't know how to evaluate this. Like, what do you mean by study? And a lot of really successful students I looked at for my books, they never used the word study. It was much more concrete. I'm going to take these chapters and we're going to do a quiz and recall here. And this works really well and it's going to prepare me well. If your mind trusts the plan you have, you're much less likely to feel dismotivated. This also comes up a lot, I think, when people take on ambitious projects, which I think is good. But if you haven't actually done the work of figuring out how that type of project actually unfolds, what's really needed to succeed, your brain knows, look, you don't have a plan here that I trust that's going to lead us to success. So no, I'm not going to give you motivation to do this. And it's why there's a lot of novels that last 3 chapters before people give up. It's because they got excited about the idea of writing a novel, but didn't actually do the work of figuring out what would it really take to break into the world of novel writing. They just want to do their 1,000 words in the morning and feel motivated and post it on Instagram. Their brain's not tricked. It's like, I don't see a plan here that makes sense. I'm not going to invest energy if I don't see a plan I trust. So I think that's a big part of it as well. Your brain is smarter than you think, which is sort of an ironic statement. If it doesn't really think you have a good plan that's going to achieve something worth achieving, you're not going to feel very motivated. That can feel a lot like procrastination.
I love it. Going against yourself, it's quite interesting. The one thing is talking about the context shifting you've spoken about, and you've written is it a blocking? So like a planner? Is it? I'm probably hatcheting that. Yeah. So you feel that blocking and getting like fixed times to do stuff is like one of the best ways to sort of handle with context shifting.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of time blocking, which was an idea that was in my book, Deep Work. And then last year I released a planner just for doing time blocking called the Time Block Planner. And the idea is you take your work hours and you give every minute a job. So you say, here's my time available. Okay, here's meetings and calls. What am I doing with all the other time? I'm making a plan for that in advance. And we call it blocking because you have these columns with the hours on the rows. You're drawing blocks like this 30 minutes I'm working on this 90 minute, you draw the block and you label it. There's a couple things that really help here. One is it puts you in the sequential mindset. I'm doing one thing at a time until I'm done, then I'm moving on to the next. So yeah, I need to do email. Well, there better be a block for that. And when I get to that block, I can do email. But right now I'm in the block for writing. So that's what I'm doing. I'm writing. So it puts you into a sequential mode. 2, it allows you to actually move around the chess pieces here on the proverbial chessboard of your time and be like, what's the best way to make use of the day in front of me? I'm going to be packed in the afternoon, so I better get after it real early to try to get this thing done. And there's only a 30-minute block between these 2 meetings. So why don't I wait till that block to follow up on X, Y, and Z, which is pretty low energy, but it needs to get done. You're being much more intentional. So when you care about what you do with your day, you're going to get a lot more out of it. And then there's this ancillary third benefit is you learn, because you make these blocks, you make these plans. If you're new to it, your plan's going to explode. Why? Because everyone thinks that things take 50% less than they actually do. So you begin to pick up over time as you have to fix these time block plans again and again, concrete visceral feedback on how long things actually take, how much time things actually take. And this leads to a lot of positive developments. A, you start on things earlier because now you feel in your bones how much time it actually takes to get this done. And B, you begin to cull back your schedule. You have a much better understanding of, well, how much is really on my plate? If I'm doing this, this, and this, and now that I know how big those blocks are and how hard they're to fit them in, I realize it's not all going to work. So I need to stop doing this, hand this off to someone else, and delay this for another month. You begin to be able to make data-driven decisions about what's on your plate. So there's like a lot of good secondary benefits that all come from this primary commitment. Let me actually give every minute of my day a job in advance, as opposed to the alternative, which I call the list-based reactive method, which is in between things that are on your calendar, you react to things that come in over email and Slack, and then see if you can make some progress on some sort of to-do list. It's a 2 to 3x times difference in terms of how much you get done if you time block versus the list reactive method.